Number 1. God still has a divine plan for both of you. Sometimes, it is very difficult to see God's divine plan in our past relationship, but God's ways are very mysterious and can't be understood with logic and common sense. One of the reasons God might not be letting you move on after a breakup, even when you are trying to get over it again and again, can be that God still has a divine plan for both of you. God is the one that institutes the idea of marriage and relationship, and the one that knows the purpose of it, and He has revealed His plan and purpose for marriage in His Word. Many times we try to fight against the will of God and end up frustrated after all the struggle. When God approves of a relationship, He puts His divine plan and purpose in that relationship, and the success of that relationship is tied to their purpose. Many times, people break up from relationships and their ex for reasons that are insignificant and irrelevant. If God has His hand in that relationship and has a future for both of you, He will not let you move on from that past relationship, because He has laid His hand on it and approves it as one that is according to His plan and purpose. So maybe that is why you are finding it hard to let yourself move on from someone in your past relationship or your relationship with your ex. Number 2, there is still work needed to be done on your heart. God may not be allowing you to move on from someone in your past because you and God still have work to do in your heart. Interestingly, when you try to rush your healing, you end up prolonging the process. It is very comparable to having an injury on your body. If, for example, you have a fracture in your arm, you will stay injured longer than necessary if you try to start using that arm to lift things before the arm is properly healed. Similarly, God will not let you heal properly and move on from someone in your past if you're trying to rush through the healing process and you are not adequately learning what He wants you to learn through this past relationship experience. God wastes nothing. Even what was meant to harm you, God intends to use it for your good. Maybe God wants to show you how to guard your heart for your next relationship. Or maybe He is trying to show you how to rightly identify biblical qualities someone needs to have before you go into a relationship with them. In a nutshell, one likely reason you keep thinking about this person or feel that pain inside of you when this past relationship is brought up is because there is a particular lesson God wants you to gain that you have not obtained yet. The sooner you learn what God wants you to learn, the sooner God will let you move on. The Bible teaches there is time for everything. You are in this phase for a reason. God wants you to learn some things before allowing you to move on from that person from your past, so you will be able to get into a better relationship. Many times we resist the breaking down season, which then slows the building up season. You have to let God break you down if you want to be built up again the way He wants. Remember that God makes everything beautiful in its time. Number 3, that relationship needs to be rekindled. God does not want you to move on from that relationship because He is not done with it yet. You're finding it hard to forget that person and the relationship because God wants you to rekindle your friendship and relationship with that person. If you're finding it hard to forget about someone from your past relationship, it means God wants the relationship to be renewed. Maybe He wants the relationship to work out again. It may be hard for you to get back with someone who may have done hurtful things to you in a very bad way. They might have done terrible things that you feel bad about in one way or the other. But if getting back with that person from your past is what God wants, then let it be. You should never forget that God has the best plan for you, and so He will never do anything to hurt you. You have to believe this. God said in His Word that the thought He thinks towards you are a thought of good and not evil, to give you a future. Therefore, you have to believe that God will never do anything that would hurt or harm you. He has your best interest at heart. He is for you and not against you. So if you find it hard to move on from someone or let go of someone, God is telling you both that you should put your differences aside and get back together. But this time around, you both would have experienced a massive transformation in your life, so that the relationship can work again. Your attitude, character, and generally everything about both of you would have changed. Both of you would have improved for the relationship to work again. Number 4, unforgiveness. God may not be letting you move on from someone in your past relationship because of the unforgiveness in your heart. Unforgiveness is a state of emotional and mental distress that results from a delayed response in forgiving an offender. You will not be able to move on from someone in your past if you have not forgiven them. When you are holding someone in your mind, you are carrying the baggage, hurt, and pain in your heart. It may seem like it is not easy to forgive someone, especially if that person had treated you very badly. But if you want to move on with your life, you need to forgive that fellow. Stop thinking about that person and the pain they have caused you, and look to God to receive strength to give the person. Truly, forgiveness is not as easy as people say it is. Forgiveness is a process, and it cannot happen automatically. You may say you have forgiven the person this minute, and in the next minute, you want revenge because you remember the pain and trouble that person made you go through. If you find yourself in this kind of situation, you will need to ask for grace from God to forgive that person, because it is only God that can help you. If you depend on your strength, it will fail you. When you forgive, you free yourself from anger and hurt. Then you'll be able to move on from the person. Forgiveness will help you possess the freedom in your heart, where you are no longer emotionally attached. You are no longer hurt when you have thoughts of this person, and you are free from wanting to be with this person if you know God does not want you with them. Number 5, that person is the right one for you. It is possible that you met the right person at the wrong time, and the relationship did not work out well, and so you had to part ways. God will not let you move on from the person because they are the right one. As a child of God, God is involved in every aspect of your life. Therefore, He will ensure you end up with the right person and at the right time. There are times whereby we tend to run faster than God's will and plan for our life. By so doing, you might get into a relationship with the right person, but at the wrong time. But because the timing is not appropriate, that relationship will need to end. Even after the breakup, God will not allow you to move on from that person because they are the right one for you, and you end up being together with the person at the right time.